Our main traveler, the best character in the game, who's confirmed to be getting every single element playable, the character that can adapt into any situation, the character that's so OP that every single element that is released is gonna be shaking the meta of the game. Right, well, since this is a free-to-play game, the main character is actually quite different, especially when she was given for free, so OP isn't usually the word we get to use on her. However guys, having different elements given to the main character is quite a fun concept because we at least get to look forward to it every single new region and see what kind of skills and gameplay is being given to the new elements of the main traveler. And so Fontaine is basically going to be arriving like in a few days, which is when Hydro Traveler is going to be making her appearance too. Where today in our video we're going to be looking into how good the Hydro Traveler is going to be. And a bit of a spoiler guys, I have to say it really did surprise me on what her kit was given. Now guys, if you are new to the channel, then don't forget to subscribe, as in collaboration with Paimon's Bargain, we're going to be holding a huge giveaway when patch 4.0 release, and I'm sure that's going to be a big chance for you to grab a lot of Primogen and pull for the upcoming characters. So be sure to subscribe and join my Discord server, as that's where the giveaway will be held. And then with that out of the way, let's just dive into today's video. So before we hop into the Hydro's Traveler skills and kit, I first want to kind of quickly mention back into some of her previous elements and see how good they have been. By the way guys, I'm going to be mentioning the Traveler as she because, you know, Lumine Supremacy is basically the way to go when you're choosing the main traveler. So yeah, that's how it is. Up until now, there's basically 4 elements already. We've been through like 4 regions in Genshin Impact by this point. Ever since we got into the game, we was rewarded with the very first elements of Anemo. Up until now, if you're lacking in like Anemo character, then Anemo MC should still be able to do you a bit of work. Of course, still quite underwhelming in terms of the damage side, but in terms of 4-piece Vivi Shred, she's still gonna be able to give you some benefits off of that. Geo Traveler, I'd say, is quite okay. You're still gonna be able to do a bit of damage with all of the Constellation passive that Geo Traveler is able to give you. Quite a bit of support to the team. I quite like how the Geo Traveler skills was given. Could be quite handy when you're traveling too, and obviously the memes is always gonna be there, so that's gonna be another point given to my list. Electro MC, I think she was quite popular when she was first released. However, when, you know, other Electro character was introduced, obviously her popularity decreased from then. I say Electro Traveler is still pretty good if you're especially lacking in energy recharge for the team. She's so good in that role. Decent Electro application too from her. But yeah, obviously at the end of the day, if you've already got so many other Electro characters, you're almost never going to be using Electro Traveler. And then as for Dendro MC, I still say that she's the best element out of all of Lumine's elements up until now. I still specifically use Dendro Traveler, especially in my Nihilus Bloom team. Many have said that if you've got like Nahida on your account, then you're probably not going to be using Dendro Traveler. I'd say that's true, because if you're going to be using a team and you're only going to be having one Dendro character anyway, then yeah, of course that slot's going to be Nahida. However, usually if you're having up to 2 teams or you're having 2 characters within a team of being Dendro, then that's definitely holding a spot for Nahida, and the other is most likely going to be a Dendro Traveler spot. Because guys, yes, you just can't deny that Dendro Traveler is so good. Like, her burst just covers everything in terms of Dendro's application, as well as a bit of damage. Her E skill can also do a lot of damage, plus giving her a Favonius sword, and she's going to be helping your team out with a lot of energy recharge as well. Not to mention her Constellations of Dendro is really good, so basically just helping your team out a lot. So I guess that was kind of like a surprise thing from me still, after a year that Dendro Traveler was already released, after so many Dendro characters being added to the game too, Dendro Traveler is still holding up her place. So that's something that I would say which is pretty interesting. And then that leads us into Lumine going to Fontaine, where she's finally gonna be getting Hydro element. And so let's have a look into Hydro Traveler's kit to see how good it's gonna be. In terms of level wise and ascension material, it's basically gonna be the same. You don't really need to farm anything else because Lumine is just gonna be changing up her elements, and that's basically it. No more attack, nothing to talk about. It's technically the same. The difference starts to come when it gets to skill. So there's gonna be a press and hold options of her skill. What the press does is that it's going to be sending a torrent surge forward that deals hydro damage to the opponent that it comes in contact with. Very simple skill. The scaling can get to around 300% at level 8 and level 9, in which I think it's going to be on the lower end. It's not really too high because of course there's been so many other characters that have much higher scaling than this. Now what the hold does is that it gives you an aiming mode that constantly fire off what's called dewdrop, dealing hydro damage to your opponent. When the skill ends, it will send a torrent surge forward that deals hydro damage to the opponent as well. And there's also a part that's called sufficient, which is when Lumine's HP is higher than 50%, she will constantly use up her HP to cause dewdrop's damage to increase based on her HP. So we can see that dewdrop damage at level 8 is like 52% with sufficient damage bonus of basically 1%. So overall, it's just a very simple skill where you target an enemy standing there to shoot water bubble at them, and then with some extra damage being added to the mix. So okay, nothing too interesting going on there. Plus Lumine Archie element is gonna be Pneuma, so which is gonna be kind of like a good thing. If you're lacking in Pneuma element character, then Hydro Traveler can definitely fill in the spot. Now moving on to Hydro Traveler's burst. This is where I feel that whole universe is doing such a disservice. So what it does is that it creates a slow moving bubble that deals continuous hydro damage to the nearby opponent. So kind of like Kokomi's E, but I feel that it's going to be having way less AoE than Kokomi's E, and the bubble's also moving forward as well with a skill damage level 8 of around 163% and a 4-second uptime with an 80 energy cost and a 20-second cooldown. I'm like, what? Like, what, guys? What? Wait, what's going on here? First of all, the scaling is insanely low. We still don't know how much of hydro application is going to be doing, plus how much AoE is been given, so that in practice will it be able to affect so many enemies in group situations. But the thing I'm still questioning is that it's got a 4-second uptime, which is like one of the shortest skill uptime in the game right now, and a whopping 80 energy cost to boot. After that, you'll be waiting for like a 16-second cooldown. Obviously, when we touch on Constellation later, I believe there's going to be a Constellation that increase this duration, but that's absolutely not too long. So up until now, there's nothing too interesting in terms of Hydro Traveler's kit. In terms of passive, first of all, after the dewdrop fire by the hold mode hits an opponent, a source water droplet will be created near Lumine, and then whenever she picks it up, she regains a 7% of her HP. 4 droplet can be created at most, so overall it will be around like a 28% of HP regen for her in total. Second passive basically give a torrent surge more damage. Is that whenever HP is consumed from sufficient, torrent surge will get a skill damage bonus of 45% of the HP that has been consumed during sufficient, and a maximum of 5,000 damage bonus can be gained. So okay, nothing too special. So overall, that's basically the skills and kits of Hydro Traveler right there, guys. We haven't really mentioned about Constellation yet, but as you can see, there's nothing really too special. Everything is just so basic. You're just doing a skill here and there to do damage, and you know, a burst to create a huge water bubble with a very low scaling to boot. So moving on to Constellation, hopefully it does fix things a bit and make her a bit stronger. I hope. Well, we'll just have to see. Her C1, give her a bit of regen whenever she picks up the water droplet, and as we know there can be around 4 droplet at most, which is going to be giving her 8 energy regen. That's not a lot guys, that's very low compared to how much energy burst of AT she's required. And then C2 is just ridiculous. It's that the movement speed of rising water bubble will be decreased by 30% and the duration is increased by 3 seconds. After reading this guys, I'm like, why would you create a problem in the first place and then take up a slot in her constellation just to try and fix the problem? I think they're not even going to try to hide the fact that they're kind of like intentionally making her skills and kit goes weird. Since her C2 is going to be giving a decrease in terms of movement speed, I feel that before C2 her burst movement speed is going to be quite fast, and the biggest thing here is going to be giving it another 3-second uptime. But guys, a 7-second burst uptime is very short, especially when that's one of the most important parts of Hydro's Traveler's skills, because Hydro application here is technically the most important thing you're probably going to be giving to the team if you're using her. And if you're waiting for a 13-second cooldown, and obviously Hydro Traveler is not going to be on field for you most of the time, she's just going to be there doing her skills and then her burst. Her source of Hydro application isn't going to be huge for your team either. Her C4 I believe is technically going to be giving her a shield, and then once every 2 seconds after Dewdrop hits the opponent and she's still being guarded by her shield strength would be restored by 10% of the Traveler's max HP. And then C6, when Lumine picks up the water droplet, she will restore the HP of the nearest party member with the lowest HP percentage by 6% of Lumine's max HP. So a bit of healing there, but that is just absolutely not reliable, especially when she'll be healing just one character of your team, and it's only 6% of her max HP, which is pretty underwhelming. So guys, that's basically everything regarding Hydro Traveler there. Of course guys, this is not an official information and we're still in the phase where it's before Hydro Traveler release. Hopefully they would do something to change her up so that she's more usable, but in terms of, you know, if we were to be looking into her pros and cons, I almost can't really see any pros on the Hydro's Traveler's kit, apart from, you know, she has access to Archie Pneuma, whereas if your team is lacking in Pneuma elements in some way, she'll be able to cover that for you. But obviously that's just going to be at the very start of Fontaine to helping you out. Other than that, her skills almost has no value to the team, I feel, at this point in time, especially when we just got so many good Hydro character now, and they're also free to play, like, you know, Xingqiu, and her kit can also be quite similar to Kokomi, and we already know that Kokomi is infinitely better and an absolutely top tier character. There's almost no room for Hydro Traveler to actually compete if you already have the other Hydro character on your account. And then for the cons here, obviously I don't think we need to discuss much because it's very low scaling in terms of damage side, even if you want to use Hydro Traveler. Obviously there have been parts of her kit where it tried to actually scale things up a bit, helping her do a bit more damage, but obviously that is nowhere as near as, you know, character like Xingqiu, who's able to do what he has been doing since the very start of the game. So after everything regarding her kit, will there be any kind of realistic application toward gameplay? From what I just can see, it's more about whether or not you're going to be enjoying using Hydro Traveler. I feel that even for free to play player, if you've already gotten to Fontaine, you're obviously going to be getting some better Hydro character. So in terms of if you're a truly free to play player, I still don't feel that you're going to be forced to use Hydro Travelers due to a lacking of Hydro element. So definitely Hydro Traveler is just there for you to enjoy the game. Maybe, you know, in terms of adventuring during Fontaine at the very start, you can use her Archie Pneuma to help you get through some of the area. But then after that, in terms of meta gameplay, I don't think that we'll be using Hydro Traveler in any way, and most of us are just still going to be sticking towards Hydro Traveler, which is something that I would definitely be doing. And so guys, I think that should be all of my thought toward our Hydro Lumine at this point in time. If you do have any comments towards, the Hydro Traveler or anything else to share, I would love to see your comments down below and we can do some discussion there as well. Now guys, if you're still thinking about whichever character to pull in patch 4.0, then I have a very in-depth video going through that, and I can be sure that it's going to be very valuable and have a lot of good advice for you. So be sure to check out the video right here. Again guys, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, but it is a free way to support me, and also we'll be holding a huge giveaway for you, so that should be very beneficial for you. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the video, and with that I wish you a super day and I will catch you on my next video.